Well, hello there. It's David. Welcome or welcome back to Cross Fitness, helping men and women get in the best spiritual shape of their lives, one workout at a time. Quick thought in this video that I'm calling Be Very Careful Who You Go to for Advice. And I'm basing this on my Old Testament reading this week. I've got two examples for you from 1 Kings that just stood out to me and like grabbed me by my jugular vein and said, man, I want to do a video on this. The first one is Solomon's son, Rehoboam. Okay. And so he started off with some wise things where after Solomon had died and who took Israeli civilization to the apex of its culture. And so now we've got a new king and everyone's showing up and say, okay, you're going to be as harsh and as hard as your dad and all this. And Rehoboam does two things that are smart. He says, number one, give me 3 days to think about this. And then that's good. And number two, he sought advice. But here's where the rub comes in. He sought advice from the wiser, the older men who said, hey, look, if you relax the burden on these people, they'll serve you all your reign. But if you're too harsh with them, this thing is going to implode. That was their advice. And he said, okay. Then he sought the advice of the young men. Remember, the Bible says a young man's glory is in his strength, an old man's in his wisdom. So these young men, his contemporaries, his peers, his buddies, maybe his drinking buddies, partying buddies, guys he grew up in school with, say, hey, look, you need to be, flex your muscle and say, I'm stronger than my dad. I know my dad was wise and smart and intelligent and all that, but I'm going to be a greater leader than him by the strength of my might and the harshness of my words, something to that effect. Well, anyway. He took the young men's advice, and guess what? He lost 10 tribes out of that deal. 10 tribes left him on the spot from that harsh word because he took the advice from the wrong people. Here's the second example. So, the leader of that group was Jeroboam, okay? And he headed north, it became the northern kingdom, and Rehoboam ruled over the Judah, called the southern kingdom. Northern kingdom was called Israel, southern kingdom, Judah. And so Jeroboam's thinking, like, what am I going to do? Every year the people want to go down to Jerusalem, to the temple for the feasts. And the Lord will just capture their hearts and they want to stay there. They want to relocate there. So he asked advice from some of his leaders up north. And guess what? They said, hey, let's go back to the golden calf thing. Let's make golden calves, put in Dan and Beersheba on the borders, or Dan and Bethel, I think it was. Tell people they don't need to go back there. These are the gods that brought you out of Egypt. Let's worship them. Bad advice, okay? So there's two examples of guys getting counsel, which is smart, but getting crummy counsel, which was dumb. All right. So we got to be very wise about who we ask counsel for. Maybe look for someone who's been around the block a time or two. Maybe he or she has gray hair. Maybe they got some wrinkles. Maybe they got a limp. Maybe they got some scars. Maybe they've been, through the ringer in life, lost everything 2 or 3 times, and here they are surviving. Maybe they've fallen down 7 times, but each time they got up. I think these are the people that may be helpful to inquire of pastors, church leaders, people that are vetted, people that, have earned a right to have an opinion in our life. They've stuck with us through thick and thin. They've been persistent. They've been consistent. They haven't been goofy, wacky, or wishy-washy, you can discern, and the people in your life that just want to stroke your ego, or they're yes men or yes women or whatever. You want to surround yourself with people that, hey, want to tell you what you want to hear. The Bible talks about that, calls it itching ears, right? Well, don't surround yourself with people that are going to tell you everything that you want to hear. That's not helpful. We need to know what we need to hear. We need to hear what we need to hear. So I'm just saying, when you're seeking advice, be very discretionary about who you seek counsel from. They're professional counselors. I mean, they've got training and education. They're not shooting from the hip. You know, they're not there, you know, at Chick-fil-A saying, well, here's what I think you ought to do. You know, well, maybe it is what you ought to do, but if they've had like 5.6 seconds to think about it, they're not prayed about it, not fasted about it, they haven't read anything or delved into the word or, you know, fasted a day or a meal or something or other. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, just be careful who you get your advice, counsel from, because it may not always be wise. All right, there you go. So take that for what it's worth, okay? All right, for now, I'm David, your virtual mentor, reminding you that I'm always for you, never against you. If you want to learn more about my virtual mentor, go to myvirtualmentor.org. Lots of free stuff there for you to enjoy. See you.